Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, my God.
Yay.
Yay.
I froze momentarily, but now I'm back.
Okay. So we've been having... Welcome to Have You Read Any Good Books? I'm Mavis Applewater. I can't really see me, but that's okay. It's not about me. It's about you. I'm Mavis Applewater, and joining me once again is now, since you joined us last time, the Alice B. Reader Award winner, Nat Burns.
Hello.
Good fortune has befallen those who have joined us in the three of the authors that have joined us have shortlisted for the coveted Anne Bannon.
Anne Bannon.
Yeah, just the Bannon. They've Karen Badger.
Yes.
Virginia Belloc and J.M. Wren. I love Jay. All three of them have shortlisted for the Bannon.
Oh, that's awesome. That
is so cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. And you, Alice B. Reader?
Yeah. I got that from my body of work. That's pretty impressive.
So hopefully we are recording and this is going well. And I've been having problems with Zoom. I recently sat down with Faye Jacobs, and Faye and I are going to sit down again once I fix. Apparently, it's on my end because you and I just tried to Zoom and then same issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yep. But you have a new book coming out.
I do.
And folks can't see me because right now, there it is. Pony Dakota.
Pony Dakota is coming out in a week, I think.
In a week.
Yeah.
You got your box delivered Boxing Day. And for those of you
who
don't know what that is, explain it.
It's when you get your box outside your door that has your author copies in it. Yeah, that's always an exciting time. Bella is really good about that, getting the author copies to you on time. And previous to the book being, it's pre-ordered now. You can go on and pre-order it. But it's not officially released until I think the 22nd or something.
Yes. And there are, I want to remind folks, there are going to be links in the description below. Mm-hmm. So you can find out about this book and all of other Nat's endeavors and books. And I know you can't see it, but behind me is a copy of the cover and another one of your favorite covers, Stepping Through, because you get excited about it.
I did. That takes me back to 1985, maybe, because during that time period in the 80s, I was working with this thing called the Small Press Writers and Artists Organization, and I loved it. I was a newsletter editor for a long time, and I participated in everything that they offered, like the critique group and the yada yada. Anyway, then I became president for I think only a year, maybe two. But it was a great organization, and we all wrote stories, and we would critique one another's stories, and then we would also send them out for publication at all these little small press magazines like Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine, and there's just so many of them. Anyway, there were so many of them. They're gone now, most of them. So anyway, when we would get rejected, we could post it on the little emails that we did, and everybody would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, better luck next time, it'll happen, So it was really kind of a great encouraging group to belong to. It was international. It was people from all over the world. And some of those people, like, for example, John Rosamond, you know of him, he was in the group. I think Dean Koontz might have been in it. There were quite a few writers who became professional, even famous writers that came from that wonderful little group.
That's Stepping Through. Now let's talk about...
Well, the stories in Stepping Through are the ones that were published back then. So just to make that clear. Sorry.
Well, and it was so funny because when I first approached you, I said, "Oh, I want you to come back because you have a new book coming out." And you were like, "What are we going to talk about?" And I'm like, "How about we talk about your new book?"
Yes. Yes.
Pony Dakota, a romance.
Yep.
Just in time for summer.
Yep.
Pony Dakota, when redheaded tech genius Emma Vernon lands a troubleshooting job at the Workflow Editorial Initiative. Mm-hmm. She has to share an office with the quiet senior editor, Barbara Simmons.
Yep, good old BB.
BB. Nickname
yeah,
BB.
BB, yeah.
They soon find common ground during long lunches, lively discussions that bridges the two worlds. Is there an age gap, I'm guessing?
A little bit. I think Emma's 38 and BB is like 42. So it's, it's really not too far.
When BB steps in to protect Emma from an abusive ex, the pair make a hasty retreat to the sanctuary of Emma's family home in the Virginia countryside. Oh, nice. Nice area of the country.
Yep, it is.
So
I lived there for many years, and one interesting thing is I currently live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is where the book starts. It starts in the industrial park here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's set in a publishing house. And they do editing and they release medical journals, that kind of thing, which is also my past, because I did that for most of my career before I retired. Then they end up in Virginia, which is also where I lived for 35, well, actually more than that, probably 45 years. So I know that Virginia area well, even though it's southwestern and I was more northern. But I did go to the southwest part of Virginia a lot. So anyway, that's I'd like taking my characters to places I've really been. It's a lot of fun.
I feel there's a certain authenticity if someone's actually been to those places.
I hope so. I feel so. I mean, yeah, I think it's much better if you write what you know, as they say.
Well, Albuquerque is becoming quite the hub lately. Shane Curry has recently moved there.
I know. I'm so excited. She and Karen are joining our writing group. We have a small writing group called the Petroglyph Guild, and Jeannie Barrett McGill belongs. Nina Knapp belongs. And anyway, Karen and Shane are joining us. So it's going to be quite the rowdy crowd from now on. We're going to close down some restaurants here.
Well, Shane and Barrett and Karen and Karen's wife, Barbara, and Shane's wife, Brett. That's quite the gathering in itself.
Yeah, it is. And don't forget, there's two other writers who live in this area, not to mention Hilliard's daughter, the guy who wrote all the Indian stories. His daughter lives here, and we know her. Hillerman. My apologies. I always get named wrong.
I know that voice. Hi, Chris.
Yeah. She says hi. Tony Hillerman is his name, and his daughter, she has taken up the mantle now, and she writes really good books. And she came to our Western Women Writers a little con that we held. And we're hoping to do that again this fall, maybe. Or maybe next spring.
I was talking to Barrett a few months ago. She did one of these, and she just talked about how great it is to open the back door and have that view. And
do you know she had damage to her house, though? We had a big hailstorm.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, she was supposed to come to our writing group yesterday, and she just wrote us and said, I can't come. The hail knocked my screens off, dented my house, did damage to her yard. So she had to stay and remedy that and get the people to look at it for insurance purposes and everything.
Oh, poor Barrett.
Well, she's out in this big open prairie, and there's nothing around to block it because there's no trees, which is probably a good thing because it would have knocked it over, that horrible storm we had. But anyway, she says it's not too bad. But
yeah, that's one of the reasons she chose that area, is because it is open and place to breathe after all those years in the medical profession. Now, what inspired, other than the fact that you lived in Virginia before and you worked in the writing tech journals like these two are? Now, you've got BB and you've got Emma, and they're drastically different people coming together. And you said, hey, why don't I toss them together and see what happens?
That's actually the truth. I wanted to, you know how they say a really good novel, you start a person here, and by the end of the novel, they're an entirely different person, right?
Correct.
I wanted to do that. So what I did is I wanted to get BB who had a very sterile life. She was raised by wealthy parents who were professionals. She was never doted on or anything like that. She just did what she had to do, right? And so she retreated into the world of books. She's a trivia buff. So that's where a lot of the beginning of the book comes in, with her recounting this trivia to Emma. Anyway, I wanted her to change and become warmer, more loving, and a totally different person by the end of the book. Emma too. Emma starts out one way. She's very fearful because of the experiences that she's had, and very slow to trust. But BB's, maybe I should say BB's consistency or steadiness gave Emma the ability to trust her. And then when she actually tries to help her, that was another thing. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I gotta put my ringer off. That's a good plan. And I think I accomplished it. I really feel like you won't know BB. You won't say that's the same BB by the end of the book. Emma doesn't change quite as much, but she learns to trust and share with BB, which I think is important.
Little fiery spitfire redhead. And...
She's actually calm for a redhead, you know? But there's one scene toward the end of the book where she kind of loses it. And I think the readers will have a lot of fun with that.
Okay, no spoilers, remember.
No. And there's a twist mid-book, too, that is... in fact, I have a friend who I gave a copy of the book to, and she's reading it, and she's only like not even to the big twist yet. And I said, "You're not there yet?" She goes, "No, but I can't stop reading it. I love it." And so I said, "Okay, read it tonight, and then tell me what you thought of the twist."
Right.
So I'll let you know what she thinks. But anyway, it's fun to write stuff like that.
It is. I'm just going to take a moment to remind our viewers to click like and subscribe to support our authors.
Yes.
In these troubling times for LGBTQ plus, stories are getting lost and banned and all that. And visit the gift shop, as I like to say.
Yeah, I'm really, really sad that the thought that my books might someday be taken. It just tears me up a bit.
Well, when I got the notice that mine weren't, I got to shut my phone off as well, we don't normally leave our phones on, but Natty and I had such a time connecting with one another today.
We did.
Had to call each other and say, well, and we were actually supposed to do this last week, and I was unwell and went, why is my phone going off? And it was an alert reminding me that I was supposed to be having an author chat. And I was like, oh, crap.
Well, I'm retired now, so it's all good.
That was the first one I've missed. I've had authors miss because one of them was working a crazy, interesting job that I won't go into what it was, but it was involved with a criminal court case. And I was like, that sounds totally interesting.
Oh, man. I hope she writes about it.
I hope so. But it was a good author chat when we finally got around to it. But she was exhausted. Yeah. But I'm not going to go into detail because I figured that's a no discussion.
No, that'll come up. It'll be good.
I go down the rabbit hole with stuff like that, like on YouTube and stuff. I find these court cases, and it's like,
oh, me too. Oh. I love YouTube. I'm a YouTube freak now. I'm into minimalism, that whole minimalist thing. As you can see behind me, all that crap in my office.
It's blurred, but I've seen your office before. So.
Yes, so I'm trying to be minimalist. Anyway, so I start watching all these minimalist things on YouTube. YouTube, the ones put out by the minimalists, plus all these other people who have YouTube channels now about. It's minimalizing their life, but maximizing their peace and their pleasure in life. So, I really get lost in that. I do.
So very Southwest on the themes there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's where you live.
I love Albuquerque. I do. It's just such a great place to live. And you know what the coolest thing is about living here? We have no mosquitoes.
Yes, yes. We saw one.
Did you?
We have one here.
Uh-huh.
We have lakes though near our place, but we don't have things like ticks, which is the dog is happy about.
Yes, that's nice. We don't have that here either. But if you go down onto the river, the Rio Grande River, Grande River, however you want to say it, there is a thing called the bosque, which is Spanish for forest. I think loosely translated, but it covers both sides of the river. And if you go down there, you might have a mosquito or two.
Okay.
But if you live in the high desert where we live, it's not an issue. It's just too dry here for them. They can't survive. And I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. It is interesting that it's only like, I don't know what your heat level's at, but we had the triple digits. It's only like 80 something here right now.
Here too. It's about 87.
Back east, like I said, I was talking to Faye Jacobs. It was triple digits.
Oh gosh, I feel so bad for them. We're going to go to Vermont in October, and I'm hoping that the leaf changes will be like normal. You know, they may not be because of the weird temperatures we've been having. But I'm going to go look at the leaves anyway.
Oh, it's a great time. I was in New Hampshire a couple of years back. Had a niece get married, and it was so great to see after living out here. It's like, oh, miss it. I mean, my knees don't miss it, but but you lived in Virginia as well, and you've used that for your book and the Virginia.
Oh yeah, most of my life I've lived in Virginia, I'd say. I lived in South Texas, down by the island, for several years, and I grew up in the D.C. area, and then I moved to Alexandria, places like that. So I've pretty much been Virginia centric most of my life.
Do you need a beverage?
I do. Ta-da.
Stay hydrated. There we go.
You know what else I need? I need a cough drop. I went to an allergist last week, and you know what she told me? I'm allergic to life.
Okay.
I'm allergic to just about every tree, and every tree that it blooms like the first third of the year, the second third of the year, and the third third of the year. And I'm allergic to a tree in each one of those bloomings.
There's a book in there somewhere.
Gotta be. I'll let my allergist write it because I don't want to deal with it.
There was so-and-so, and she lived in a bubble because she was allergic to life. Boom, 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 boom.
Wasn't it done with The Boy in the Bubble?
It was The Boy in the Bubble.
Yeah. I could be the girl in the bubble.
Yeah, you could be the girl in the bubble.
Who finds love with the male person who delivers the mail.
Oh, okay, that kind of male person.
Right.
Now I'm just beating on my laptop here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can't see it right now because we were having so many problems lately.
Yeah, all I see is your beautiful inkwell and your Wednesday afternoon press.
It is. The artist we hired when we started the company did a great job on that, on our logo. She said, "What do you want?" And that's what we wanted. We wanted books and inkwell, and
yeah, it's kind of a throwback to better times.
Yes.
Hey, what do you think about the history, the future of the genre publishing?
Well, it's the genre, and we've discussed this before. Has come so far, and it's a living, breathing, growing thing, and we don't necessarily have to like the changes, as with some of the organizations.
Right.
You can't see me, but I'm making hand gestures because I'm part Italian, and I'll do that.
That's okay.
And you don't have to like them, but it is the way things happen. I feel that our genre had, and I'm so looking forward to talking to Karen Callmaker that is coming up about this. And Karen's seen it since 1989 on. Back in the days when you got a phone call from Barbara Greer. Now I did. Yeah, I got the phone call from Barbara, and that woman sighs a lot. She did, right?
She
Really
was always doing 6 things at once when she was talking to me.
Yeah, and but that's it. You submitted your submission for a book, and there were certain things that people don't get, and they still don't get that when you're submitting to a publisher. Don't tell them what your friends think about the book. Don't tell them. No. Follow the guidelines. Follow the guidelines. They're there for a reason.
Yes.
But you submitted it a typed letter. And you mailed it in by snail mail.
And waited and waited and waited.
And back then, but Barbara Greer did pick up the phone and called you to let you know what was going on.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, that was very personal. Other publishers would send you a letter if it was no. I don't know if Barbara called you if it was no. I don't know.
Well, she when she called, she had some good critiques. And so, yeah, I made those critiques. And unfortunately, she passed, pretty quickly after that. Gone. So I did with Donna.
And she was the head of Naiad Press, who I did not end up publishing with. I went a different route because back then there were different, and that's the way of publishing then. Back then you could not mix things like romance and mystery.
No.
And that's what she told me, and I went, really? And I remember repeating that to Missy Good. And she went, really?
Missy Good does whatever she wants.
But you look at the whole Dar and Care series, it's a mix of intrigue and mystery and romance. Which you can do now. And you should do,
Yeah, but do you know, I think those are Chris's favorite. That series is Chris's favorite. He reads it again and again and again.
Oh, and they're coming out on audio.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I was talking to one of your publishers about that, Patty Schramm.
Yeah.
And because we're doing Missy may or may not be doing the we're doing a group author chat with fanfic writers.
That would be the coolest thing to watch.
We're doing a bunch of them, and there's some names that are involved in them. Lynn Ames is one of them. Susan Maher. Lynn Chris is doing it. A bunch of names. And I don't want to get too into because Lori, some people are very committed. Yes, we'll do it. But it's also getting everyone organized. And it's probably going to be more than one episode. Because getting a bunch of writers together and to agree on anything is truly difficult.
And life interferes. I mean, you had some medical procedures done. I've had eye surgery. It's just, we're not spring chickens anymore.
I've had authors rescheduled because life got in the way and medical procedures or family events. And so we've this is why in Pride Month, I'm behind the gun on getting some author chats. But as far as the genre went, we went from that you actually mailed things in to electronic now, and now books are electronic. And Roxanne Hart was way ahead on that one. And now it's audio books, and everything is so instantaneous. And now we do podcasts on these things, and everything is just, if you like someone's books, you can buy them in 10 seconds. And if you want to read the next one, you can buy it in 10 seconds. It's up to how fast the writer can. And something Susan Maher brought up, too, is someone talked to her in the mentoring part about using AI. And it's hard no.
No.
Oh, that's not writing.
That's not creativity. That's computer language. Right. It's not creativity.
As far as our genre has expanded leaps and bounds. We can go anywhere with it.
That's true. And I think the young people don't necessarily want formula anymore. The older people do. Older people like their romances to be what they expect. Younger people seem to be going in a totally almost chaotic direction in that they want LGBTQ characters in their books, and they want romance to be a part of it, but the story has to have more substance than that. It has to have a mystery or an intrigue of some kind, and that's what they seem to want.
Well, you have to remember, you go back to things like Well of Loneliness, you couldn't get published if it had a happy ending. You could not have your lesbians couldn't live happily after. Oh my God, you had to step aside and let her go off with a man, damn it, or somebody, or that dyke had to die. You know?
Yep.
And
then,
I
hear you.
You have to have the happy ending. You still can't kill the dog. Let's be clear about
that. No, although I did in Identity.
Have you heard
I did,
the end of
but
it
it's
yet?
You'll my
never
best-selling.
Hear the end of that, right?
It's my best-selling book, though.
Yeah, and I bet people still give you a crap about it, though. You killed the dog.
Well, that was in the far past, so it wasn't like immediate.
Oh, okay.
And there's a new dog that comes in and brings life back to the character who lost the dog.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a really good happy ending, and people love it.
I had my wife call me on. There's like 2 books I've written that my wife enjoys, and as you know, my wife does not like fiction.
Right.
So she prefers nonfiction. Calling me sobbing because I killed a character off, and she's still mad about that one.
You gotta love her.
And in the scheme of this telling the story, and in the context of the plot,
it had to be. It had to be that way. Yeah.
I'm not going to point it. It wasn't a main character, but he had to go.
Sometimes they
sad. Do. Yes. Yeah.
I remember in the Poison Flowers, I had to kill off a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, see, I wasn't a bad guy.
Oh, well, that's even worse.
Yes. So I guess readers want to know. Will maybe embrace. I'm reading because I can turn my head and nobody can see that I'm looking away from you. Because usually I have to look, and I have the Post-its all over the top of the laptop usually.
Yeah, I get to look at my headphones.
I'm looking forward, so I try to look forward at the camera. I still remember things from my education in theater, and I sometimes will hold a can or a box or something the proper way so you could see the logo of the brand and stuff. And I look at my wife and say, see, I went to college to learn how to do that.
And paid a lot of money for it.
Yes, I did. And that was a state school, too. You know?
Oh, wow.
And I worked. That's why it took me a long time. I worked my way through. But in regards to how our genre is changing, and it is changing, it's like any other genre. I think even the mainstream. I mean, now you go look for your books and you can find them on any shelf.
Oh, right. There's no more lesbian section of the bookstore. Barnes & Noble did away with theirs. Even though they have a mystery and whatever, I don't know what the titles are, but they just took away the LGBTQ place. And
Kate Clinton, over a decade ago during Women's Week in P-Towns, made a comment on that. I know that's progress and that's awesome, and then we're not hidden in the back anymore, but I kind of miss just being able to find.
It was so much easier. Now, we had a book club here that featured my book, one of my books. I don't remember which one, but I went to Barnes & Noble because somebody told me they couldn't find it at Barnes & Noble. So I went in and I said, where would I look? Where would I tell them to look for this book for the book club? And the woman said, well, we'd have to special order them. They don't put everything out on the shelves anymore, even that one particular book. So I don't know. It's a weird world now.
Yeah, I mean,
they only go with big sellers. That's I mean, greed. Again, we get down to the bottom note of greed. And you hate to say it that way because it sounds so negative. It's actually commercialism.
Well, they have to keep their doors open too.
Right.
So have you been dropped from the library yet?
No, but you can't always. Oh no, really?
Oh, I was dropped I think it was 2 years ago. But some of my books, I can understand.
Well, yeah, you got a little of the hanky panky going on in some of yours.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, 2 Catholic schoolgirls left alone. Whatever shall happen.
I love that.
That's a good book.
Oh, gosh. You know, I wanted to interject this. Speaking of Roxanne, do you remember how she marketed her books? Do you remember? She put them on SD cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these little SD cards. And you could buy them. She had them in a you know, a clamshell type thing. Mm-hmm. And you could buy them and take them home and read them from the SD card.
But she also sold it with the paperback.
Oh, yeah, of course she had the paperbacks. But I thought that was such a novel step going to the digital books.
Yeah,
you know?
And she was way out in front.
Yeah.
And now for Roxanne Hart is no longer with us. And she introduced Jay, the author Jay.
Oh,
yeah. And
yes, it was that Western one. That Western book, the historical.
Yep. And, but she was way out and she said electronic books are what is next. And she got out in front of that.
Absolutely correct.
Not for her, though, because I had a computer crash, as we can all see by this recording, that I'm not good with technology.
I don't know if anybody is.
And hopefully this recording is going to come out, or else we'll get a chance to hang out again if it doesn't.
Yeah, I enjoy
that. She had a copy of Whispering Pines.
Really?
And I did not, because my hard drive was wiped out.
Oh, but she had a digital copy?
Yeah, she had downloaded it from back when I hadn't signed any contracts yet, and it was at the Academy of Bards, and she downloaded it to read later, and she had it, and I could hand it over because my publisher wanted it.
Wow.
Because I was like, oh, you want to do Finding My Way? And they were like, no, we want Whispering Pines.
Like, then you had to do all that work to get it. Interesting.
Yeah, and I could turn it over and said, here it is. Well, I went through it first.
Well, you have to do that. Yeah, you always have to do that.
When you run it online, you're doing it in installments and all that fun crap.
Yeah, that's true.
And
interesting.
I published Finding My Way.
Yeah, it turned out better. I really liked the way it turned out.
Yeah.
My sister, I got a panicked call from my sister, and I used to work IT for.
You did.
I edited and IT'd for companies. Anyway, panicked call from my sister. My friend so-and-so, who's a writer friend of hers, a young man who has a 2-year-old toddler and a wife, and he's written like 3 books, and he was working on his 4th, and he had it in his computer. Well, he came into the room and found his 2-year-old playing drumsticks on his laptop.
Oh.
And guess what? The novel was gone.
He didn't back it up?
She would know. He obviously, so she called me in a panic. What can I do to get this back for him? What can we tell him? And I said, tell him to go to his trash can and try to reinstate the manuscript. And sure enough, he was able to get several parts of it to be able to, he only missed like certain little sections. Whew. But I told her.
It's never as good when you go to rewrite it, when you lose it.
I know. Once it's lost, because that inspiration just goes. What can you do? But I also told her, I said, you tell him to hook up a peripheral hard drive to that laptop or go to the cloud, like OneDrive or something like that, and save it. I use a program called Evernote, and every day when I finish writing, that it's a repeat because it's the whole manuscript, like 50-some thousand words. I copy that and paste it into Evernote and date it.
Wow.
That's the cloud. Plus, I save a copy of it to my peripheral hard drive because I know how ephemeral, is that the word, ephemeral? Wow. That putting stuff on a computer can be. I never keep anything on my desktop of my computer. The desktop, it all goes into folders on a peripheral hard drive. For number one, it doesn't slow down your computer because they have to go through every single file every time you do something. And second, it's preserved. If you get hacked or get ransomware, something like that on your computer, you're okay.
Yeah, I use a cloud as well, and because I've had, well, everything changes. And
right. Did you have something hacked?
Oh, yeah. I've had several things hacked.
Oh, no.
Over the years, I was supposed to go to Austin once, and I had to pause that trip. It was either Austin or another conference that we had to pause because our business account was hacked. Someone was using a debit card, and where it was a business account, it sucks to be me. There was like nothing the bank did, and the police couldn't have been less interested. And they did it in such denominations that it wasn't considered a crime. And at this point, we were not living on the East Coast, so I knew it wasn't us because it was being used on the East Coast. Oh yeah, we've been hit so many times, and we've had different theft, but we now use a cloud, and we've been hacked, and I've lost stuff. There was one time I went to turn on an old desktop, and I walked into the bedroom. I curled up in the fetal position, and I looked at Heather, and I said, "It's gone." And she said, "What?" I said, "Everything." Everything was gone. This was like maybe 20 years ago. So she called my college roommate, who I've spoken, and she talked to, because I'm always being told by you computer people, nothing is completely gone. And Tony's husband, he's gone now, he passed, talked her through. We got things back, like our wedding pictures and stuff. We got some of it back. But I had backed up things on discs and stuff, and then the discs were obsolete, and they had gotten infected with the virus. So,
It's an iffy world. Digital world is iffy. It totally is. That's why I do the triple saving thing,
Oh, yeah.
I have it on an SD card when I'm working. I work on the SD card, and then I save it to the peripheral hard drive, and then I save it to the cloud. Got to do it.
Marge and those guys gave me flash drives, and over the years, they gave me my first flash drive, and I love flash drives. I back
They're
up
wonderful. Yeah.
So
one thing about flash drives, I would recommend, this is from my IT training. These are called flash for a reason. These little things and the long ones, they're called like this. They're called flash for a reason, these little USB thingy jiggies, because they can be gone in a flash. Anything that's on them can be gone in a flash.
I've plugged some in, but I thought I had pictures and stuff, and they're empty. Yeah.
You got to get an SSD peripheral hard drive. That is my highest recommendation. If you can't afford an SSD, just a regular spinning hard drive would be better than these guys, which I love. I use these all the time, but I do not depend on them. Yeah, I'm a geek, I know.
I know, it's fabulous. Now, what is this job that your two main characters are doing? Is this like tech work?
Okay, I used to work
now that we've discussed computers here, can we talk about your book?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get back to the topic at hand. I used to work for a couple, gosh, I'm getting old sold, a couple of medical and technical publishing companies. One was an upstart from two UVA college students, and I got in on the ground floor of that. And they actually developed a proprietary software where if any paper that is published now is using that proprietary software. It's the thing you see with the abstract and the introduction and the conclusion and methods and all that stuff. It's called scientific method is what it's called. Well, we developed that. I mean, that was not the case for a long time. But then when that came out, now it's Thomson Scientific has bought them out. But I was at UVA, I was in on the startup of this, and that was so much fun. And that was called Carden Jennings Publishing. Then I left them because after 5 years with them, the comptroller came and told me that they could no longer match my salary because of the 5 year. I'm not a comptroller. I don't know what the finances were about, but I found another job. And the other job I found was with a Washington, D.C. company called, it no longer exists, it's got a new name now, but it was the American Association for Clinical Chemistry. And with them, I was the editorial systems coordinator, which means I handled some editing of the medical journals, but also I troubleshot any problems that came up. I installed hardware, I installed software, I chose what software to buy to make our office productive. I had many, many hats at that place, and I worked there until I had my brain injury.
Right.
And after I had my brain injury, I retired from them. And they were so gracious. They even gave me my laser printer, my full office. They gave me everything out of my office. And I wasn't going to take any of it, because I was thinking about moving down to Texas to write full time. But they gave it all to me. So I lugged it all down to Texas with me. And eventually, I sold some of it. But yeah, that was very gracious of them. So that's my background. And what I did in the book is I relived that process. Although BB is just a medical editor, she doesn't do software, but Emma does. Yeah, I all the stuff that Emma did is pretty much what I did when I worked, and I also did a little bit of BB's job. So I was able to write what I knew about that kind of stuff, and it was kind of like old home week because I've been retired since 2007 now. Or 28, 08, something like that. So I've been retired a while. So it was so much fun to go back and relive it all. And I'm sure that if I had to go back into the corporate world, I'd be lost because everything's changing so drastically. Software and digital changes on a dime. I mean, one day it's one way and the next day it's a different way. So I would no longer be able to probably work in the corporate world, or I'd have a lot of catching up to do. But with these characters, I could relive that part of my life where I was fully employed and gainfully employed and
I'm reading notes here about now BB's accustomed to solitude and books, and now she's surrounded in Emma's world, which is family and pets and fun-filled activities.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It sounds like Emma's trying to push BB out of her shell a little bit. This should be fun.
Well, not on purpose. It's not like a forceful thing. It's just because that's what happened, because BB offered to help rescue Emma and take her away from Albuquerque. And they were only there for like a week's vacation, right? Mm-hmm. But like the day that they drive up to the house, they are met with 3 dogs and about 20 people that pour out of this house. And there's babies, there's children, there's housewives, there's an Irish mother who looks like Emma. She has that big red hair, and the dad's from Scotland, and the mother's from Ireland. And I mean, it's just this, and she goes into the house, and there's, they have herbs hanging from the rafters, and they do a Irish tea. They bring out this huge table, and then they bring out this huge battered teapot and serve tea to everybody. It's just this kind of, BB's never seen anything like this. I mean, she meets her mother once a month at a fancy restaurant, and that's pretty much it.
It's the East Coast, and it's like big family clown car. It's
There is some humor in this. There is a bit of humor because
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to reading Pony Dakota. I'm looking back, like people can actually see behind me. Oh, they may. I don't know. I'll have to look at, because it's funny. The first couple tries we did, we had no sound on my part. You couldn't hear me. But when I played it back, I could hear both of us.
Well, maybe when you play this back, you'll see both of us. I hope.
Because it looks my camera light's on, but I can also see where I should be. I see the company logo. So here we go. I don't know. We're having so much fun.
We'll keep fingers crossed that it happens.
Thank you for joining me. And
my pleasure.
I'm gonna do the stop off. So everyone, Pony Dakota, links will be in the description below for that and all of Nat's contact information. And also, again, don't forget to click like, subscribe, support the channel, and support your authors.
Yes, please. Remember, I'm everywhere.
Have you read any good books? Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah. Word people.
Let's try this. How are we doing?
Hi,
Hi.
how are you doing?
How you doing? So Natty and I are back.
Yes.
We've had some recording issues, and hopefully our Skype got recorded. But we'll try this again sometime soon. But I wanted you to see Natty's beautiful
Oh,
covers.
thank
There
you.
we go.
That's lovely.
It's
Lovely.
always near the Beatles.
Mm-hmm. Which gives me, great honor.
Put my phone
Gotta
away.
love the Beatles.
Well,
Isn't that cover fun?
that is a good. Who did the cover?
It was one I found online, like one of those clip
Oh,
art type places. And Bella, I just used it free, and I sent it to Bella,
cool.
and Bella wanted to make the girl's hair more red. So they bought it
Yeah.
so that they could make it more red. And it turned out really, really fun, really good. And it's a crucial scene in the book, too. Her
Oh,
being
okay. So
that
this is
cliff.
Virginia?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
And hopefully our recording on Skype went well.
Yeah, I hope so.
And we explained that BB and Emma, the main characters, who meet
Yes.
at the Workflow Editorial Initiative.
Which is based on my career in medical publishing, which was kind of a fun time. I did that for many. That was most of my career. I was a journalist for 10 years, and then I became an editorial systems coordinator after that, and a software troubleshooter, software engineer, I guess they call it, for Carden Jennings. But the interesting thing about that cover, that when I chose the cover, that part had not been written yet. And I wasn't there in the book. You know how you follow
Right.
You have an outline in your head and then you just kind of go with it. But that picture inspired me to write that scene, which turns out to be a pivotal scene in the book. So that was kind of cool. That's the first time I know of a cover inspiring me to write something.
Wow. Oh.
I know. That's weird. That's just kind of a weird way that happened, but
Now,
really
just
well.
in case part one did not record, because this is kind of day we've been having.
Sure.
Let me catch people up. Pony Dakota is Nat Burns. Welcome, Nat Burns, to Have You Read Any Good Books? I'm Mavis Applewater.
Yes.
That's Nat Burns. Your latest book is about to come out, and it is a romance. Please click like and subscribe, support the channel and your LGBTQ plus authors. And I admittedly am lacking on the G in authors. I have not had any G's. We've had B, we've had L, lots of L, and we have had T, and more T coming.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we're doing what we can.
Yeah, I think it's great what you're doing. I really, really do.
I'm having a blast, catching up with my friends. Mostly I'm catching up with my friends.
I know, because we don't get to do that very often because, writers are kind of introverts. We tend to get lost in our own little worlds doing our creative thing. And we don't necessarily connect with the people we want to connect with because of that.
Oh, and speaking of, I just want a little plug of upcoming authors. Diane Marshall Mitchell is coming up in August. We are having multiple parts of I Owe It All to the Warrior Princess, for those of you who enjoy fan fiction authors.
Yes.
Some good names coming in that, and also Ali Valley next week. Karen Callmaker and Barbara Clanton, for those of you who enjoy young adult books. Barbara is one of the ones that I had to shuffle around. And Karen,
she does great novels. Great
YA
novels. I enjoy them. I'm old.
One of those authors that had to move, and there's also some other names coming up, and like I said, life got to move some people around too. So
yeah, it does. Life always gets in the way. Not always, but a lot of times.
You had to move me around last week. If part one of this did not record, I blew Nat off last week. I just kind of went, oh crap. That was
you had to. I mean, there was no way.
That was today.
That's medical stuff. It gets in the way. You just got to do what you got to do, and you can't avoid it. When you get our age, you can't take chances on stuff.
That is just the terrible part of that. Oh, Faye Jacobs, yes. Then I have to re-record with Faye Jacobs as well, because technical
she's
issues.
So awesome. She was one who told me about Hootsuite, which is a service you buy, and you can post something and you can schedule it to post whenever. Like
Really?
if I, yeah, if I have a book coming out and I know it's coming out the 26th of the month, I can do the preview and I can do all the stuff that the publisher gives you. Like Bella gave me a ton of promo stuff this time. You can schedule it to be released to your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube page, whatever. And they even have like a free Hootsuite that'll do like three platforms. But if you buy the full version, you can get all your platforms done.
Well,
One fell swoop.
I did not know about it. You're gonna
What a
have to send
great thing for an
me the
author who
info.
hates to market.
And most writers are going to take the free because we write books.
We don't have any money.
We don't have any money. Like you discovered all this. That was free.
Yeah. That's right. It was. So, well, Bella, not to Bella, but yeah. Have you seen that Bella, the publisher Bella, has been doing some kick butt marketing stuff? They send out just about every day now a video of upcoming books or a video of
have not seen this.
Yeah, check out their Facebook and Instagram, because I think that's where they post it first, and then it goes on to other places. Like I think they even have a YouTube channel. But
oh, cool.
Yeah, I know.
I recommend it. I do.
Yeah, yeah. I have one. I mean, it's funny to think about. They must have gotten a new marketing director or something, because that's a lot of time.
Yeah,
that's a lot of making videos. It's making little blurbs. They asked me for a blurb about my book. They asked me about why I wrote the book, and the tagline for the book is "When darkness falls, look for stars," and that's the tagline for Pony Dakota. When darkness
falls. I have all these notes on Pony Dakota. I didn't not see that tagline.
Oh, it's there. It's on the Bella promotional stuff that they do. When darkness falls, look for stars. Because Emma's
that's a good tagline there.
Emma's darkness falls and she found a star in BB.
There you go.
Yep. So that's kind of what it means. And I had to put a blurb about a scene from the book and why I wrote the book. So they put all that out. I mean, it's all over the internet now. So they got somebody definitely doing just that. I feel.
Well, it's Jesse Chandler's new book too. Shanghai Murders.
They did the same thing with hers.
Just came out. Oh my goodness.
I can't wait to read that.
I had a nice chat with Jesse as well.
She's so much fun.
She really is.
Whenever I go to GCLS, I totally am at her side. I hang out with her every minute.
Now, I those of you watching, Nat has a YouTube channel, which is also how I ended up doing this. Now, put in the comment section if you think Nat should do something with her YouTube channel.
I plan to do readings once a month, like the beginning of every month. And of course, I got waylaid.
I was going to help Nat do something with her YouTube channel. And I was thinking she could interview authors. And then I thought I could interview authors. And this is how we ended up here.
That's right. And honey, you do a much better job than I would have done.
I could talk to my friends.
That's right.
So I immediately called Karen Badger.
Yep.
And then you.
Yep.
And then Roselle. And, and I'm still calling my friend. And Shane.
Shane and Roselle need to get that third book out.
They really do.
Yeah, I think they're working on it.
The end of the world.
I know. Apocalyptic fiction. I love it. I love it.
And let me move. I don't want to black stepping through.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I put through. That. I originally just had Pony Dakota,
and
then you were just so thrilled the last time we talked. I had Rosemary, and I had that one.
Yes.
I print them out, and because for some reason,
stepping through is like stepping into the Twilight Zone. Every one of the stories in it is like stepping into an episode of Twilight Zone. And back when I was with the Small Press Writers and Artists Organization, I would write these paranormal kind of stories, and I just loved them. And that's what I thought my career was going to be. And then I wrote 2 Weeks in August, which is a kind of a formula romance. And
that's the one I had, because I know I have printed copies of your book,
Yeah, yeah, 2 weeks in August. That was my
but I
first.
cannot
It'll
find.
turn up. They
Well,
always
when we
do.
moved cross country, not all the boxes came. That and the
Oh,
Centimirror to my grandparents' vanity, because we cannot find, as I mentioned, Karen's couldn't do one, Callmaker. I
uh-huh.
can't find Touchwood or
Oh,
Painted Moon. And I
but you
know,
still have the copy. It's just at the grandparents, right?
no, we can't. No, my grandparents are gone. That's why the mirror to the vanity was such a big deal, because they're like, oh, they'll buy you a new one. I'm like, well, my
Oh,
grandparents
no,
bought
you
that in
can't.
1938, so no,
No, you can't
no.
get that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So maybe 2 weeks in August was in that,
Yeah, probably.
because there's some
Um,
books missing. Yeah.
hopefully you can buy another copy of Touchwood. I think I saw it for sale somewhere.
Well, if you go to Karen's website,
Ah, maybe that's where I saw it.
yeah, she will actually sign books if you buy them.
I need to start doing that, but I
I
don't have a store anymore.
honestly, which when I sit down with Karen because she's had a lot going on, I
Yeah,
want to talk about. She has the most reader-friendly website I've ever come across, and
she does. Well, she's been doing it a while and she has
yes,
learned what works,
yes,
you know?
and she's just. If you've ever had the pleasure of talking with Karen Callmaker, she's just like the nicest person.
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
She
And we
really,
have shared many a chocolate ice cream cone, she and I.
she likes her chocolate and
Oh,
her wine.
and so does Natty. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, Natty and I both have our electronic devices on because
Sorry about that.
our phones because we had to Skype and we had it.
Yeah.
Nothing was working earlier.
I know. And now that was my Facebook portal that my brother gave me for my birthday. He's so sweet.
You've gotten a lot of use out of that. You talk to one
Yeah,
of
I
the
have.
publishers who lives in another country
Yeah.
part of the year.
Yeah. It does make a difference, doesn't it? I want to get one of those little Amazon things to put in my kitchen. I went out, the writer S.Y. Thompson, science
Yeah,
fiction
you were
writer.
visiting her
Yeah,
recently.
we went out to Tennessee to visit her, and she had one in her kitchen. I had immediate envy. I said, I need to get one of those.
We were
So,
talking about that recently. Not that I want to support Amazon, but that's
yeah, I know.
where I
I
sell
know.
most of my books. But we do have our security system, our cameras
Hmm.
are their little blinks,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
want to add more, at least another, because we live in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's just a
crime central.
little bit of crime here.
Yeah. Here too, in on the central part of the city, over by Central, the old Route
I will back
66.
you up on that.
I know you have a firsthand experience of that, don't you, darling?
I don't think I'll ever drive to. Well, I don't drive, but to New
Yeah.
Mexico ever
I
again.
know it. We are in we live in a senior housing complex, right? And they have gated parking. We still put a what do they call those bolts on the steering wheel?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
we
bought
still
one
put
right after that. We
one
got rid of
of
the
the
car
best.
because the insurance went up so much
Oh,
after that.
really?
Well, if your car, we learned if your car gets stolen, there's a lot of things afterwards. Although our insurance company was great, your rates do increase, even though you didn't personally steal your car.
That's wrong.
It is.
That's just plain wrong. Ah,
But we were in New Mexico. We were in Albuquerque for I think an hour and a half.
and it got
Yeah,
stolen.
we were having with the author Taylor James
Mm-hmm.
and our friend Sandy Thornton. We hadn't seen in a couple of years. We were having dinner in our hotel. The best. I'm gonna play with my computer now. The Best Western Hotel. I went out to get something after we went back, and I thought I was having a senior moment because I could not find the car. And I
That
was
was
doing
funny.
this with the fob, going, please let me
Oh,
be having a stroke.
oh, bless your heart. That must have been so awful. I could not imagine walking out of my house and not having my car. I don't drive anymore, but when I did have a car, to walk out of my house and see my car gone, it would have
It's
been
weird.
insane. It's just insane to think about something that big. I mean, I lose stuff all the time. Don't get me wrong, but to lose a car,
I got Heather. I thought,
maybe
tell
she moved
me,
it.
I just don't remember where you parked it. And she went down and said, no, it's gone.
Oh.
And then we told Ginny, because she traveled with us, because it's actually cheaper to fly to Las Vegas than it is to New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
everybody wants to.
Patty's coming to stay with me the last week in July, and she's flying to Colorado from Holland. And then she's going to drive with Sarge from Colorado down to my place. And then she's going to stay, I think, a week in Ohio after that. She's going to drive or fly to Ohio
A
after.
little travel tip to you folks that some cities are just really expensive to fly to. And if you have to go somewhere, like Las Vegas is really cheap to fly to because they're going to get the money out of you some other
Yeah,
time.
that's very
They
true.
really, 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 really will. Like if you want to buy a sandwich, that'll eat up the cost of the flight right there.
Don't change that.
But well, it was a GCLS conference, the Gold Crown Literary Society, and our Hyundai, which we later learned are very stealable, which
They are. They're very
we,
popular.
we didn't know prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told us.
Well, actually, it didn't occur to me until after that happened. I was like, oh yeah, that's I think one of the cars they listed as
It's
being.
it's a TikTok challenge, and I just want to
Yeah.
tell those people that you left three senior citizens.
Did you ever get your stuff out of the car?
Well, here's the thing: there were a lot of stuff that was in the car. That we didn't want back because the car was recovered later and there was just so much drugs done in it that we didn't want it back. But I have this, I'm very anal. Most people who know me know this, that when we got there, I'm like, let's just take the stuff out of the car. Let's unpack now. Let's get the stuff, the books and everything set up. So we
Smart girl.
lost some stuff, but we lost like Heather's sunglasses and DVDs and we lost a lot of stuff, but the stuff for the trip, like our luggage and stuff, I was very let's get set up in the hotel room.
Thank goodness. I hope you will continue to do that on every trip you take.
I'm a weirdo. I'm like that.
I do too. I will not leave in, especially my electronics bag. I put all of my electronics in a fireproof satchel that I travel with. I will not trust, I don't leave it in the car. It goes wherever I am. It's like attached to my hip.
Now,
So,
Pony Dakota, your characters are tech geeks. Let's talk about the book. Bring that back to the
yes,
book.
yes, they are
Uh,
tech geeks, which is what I did for
Now,
many,
is one
many
of them
years.
a car unloader, or do they have those little? Do you find yourself attributing traits that you personally have to your characters
I
sometimes?
think BB is a bit like me because she's a bit anal, She wants things to be done right,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to her job, which is medical editing medical journals, and she's the chief editor, and you find out why later. But anyway, yeah, she won't leave anything to chance. It has to all be done just right, and she has a compositor, which I did when I first started with the first publishing company. I laid out the pages for the
Right.
medical journals using this particular software that we had to use. Anyway, but I moved up in the company and became a managing editor, and then I went on to be the tech editor. Anyway, she is very anal about that, and she is a huge trivia buff. I mean, that's what she reads. She doesn't read fiction really. She reads trivia books because she wants to learn just about everything there is to learn. And I'm a bit of a knowledge junkie too. So I could relate
Oh.
that character to myself. I mean, I love, reading the internet and just finding out all kinds of stuff. In fact, I told Chris one day, I said, if I never had to clean house ever again, and I could get out of bed at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and get on the computer and stay on it all day long, I'd be a
Wow.
happy girl.
Really?
I know. Awful, isn't it? It's just awful to think that way. But I love surfing the net. I love writing. I love, I do a lot of book editing. So, I'd be on the computer all day and
Well,
be
that
happy.
explains that you have several books a year, you know?
I do. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I have, I want to get 3 out this year. I got Pony
Okay.
Dakota. I have another one that's almost finished called Progressive Proof, but that's a literary piece. That's not a genre. That might have to go to a mainstream. And then I have another one called Fait Accompli, which is a story, a romance about a fairy. fait accompli, F-A-E accompli. The term is fait accompli, but I changed it around to be fait accompli.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, a little play on
So
words.
like,
Fait accompli means something that has to be. It just
yeah,
has
I
to be.
just like, you know what popped into my head? Morgan Le Fay.
Spelled differently. This is
Yeah,
F-A-E.
it's
So
completely different. Yeah.
anyway, that's what I'm working on. I've got that one completely outlined, paragraph outlined, and almost ready to go. But I refuse to work on that one until I finish Progressive Proof, which I've been working on for about 2 years now. And then a third, I have the Desert Willow series, which is due a third book.
Yes, liaisons.
Yeah, the liaison and Rosemary and this. Yep.
Yes, there we go.
There they are. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, the third book in the series has
and that's
really
Bella too, as well. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this will be for Bella. Now, Progressive Proof probably will not be for Bella because of the way it's written. It's not. It doesn't go under their purview, but that's okay. I'll sell it somewhere. I'm not too worried about it. But it's about a woman who survives a cult.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I wrote the agent about it, I said that I told a story about how when I was a child, I was approached by Brother David's people, and it was like a sex cult. And I know, and on the street, because they were trying to recruit people and they liked young girls. And my grandmother was with me, and she went off on these people. I mean, big time went off on these people. But you would find the Brother David pamphlets everywhere. And they always had a woman and a man in a compromising sexual position on the pamphlet, and they were everywhere in the city. This was in DC, Maryland area. And so I took that information that I knew about Brother David and I created Father Samuel, who runs a cult in Maryland. And then, yeah, that's how this woman survived and what she did to the cult, which is a fascinating story, I think.
Well, I just want to say, holy crap.
I know.
You come out with this stuff. It's like one of them, you're like, oh, I study astrophysics. Of course you do.
Quantum theory and quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
And the third Desert Willow series, I don't have a title yet, but that one's going to have quantum physics.
Of course you did. And it's
of
talking to Karen and Barb, they're like, well, we rewired Shane Curry's house. And
oh my God, can you believe the stuff that they can do? Barb came over one day in my kitchen at my house I had over in Town Park, and she looked around and she goes, you could use some light in here. And she installed lights under my cabinets.
Of course she did.
Of course she did.
Oh, Karen D. Badger and her wife, Bliss, Bliss, who Bliss needs to put in her part of the book that they're working on. And yes, she does. But
she's not happy about
last
that.
time I talked to her, she was like cutting up a tree at Dad's yard, and Dad's like 80 something. And I'm like, of course Dad's cutting up a tree. This is where she gets it from.
I guess. Yeah, she told me about that too. We had lunch with her yesterday, her and Karen, and they were full of stories about their Alaskan cruise. And Shane and Brenda are now living with them.
Yeah, they're house hunting because it's the whole. If you missed part one of this, if for some reason Skype did not work for Natty and I for that kind of day, they went on an Alaskan cruise, and Shane Curry is part of. Like, speaking of cults, we're starting a writers' cult in New Mexico.
Yes, we are.
I have not joined the cult yet, but we are going there, and I did promise to cook.
And we have grape Kool-Aid.
And you do have grape Kool-Aid. I promised to make adult beverages, and I did promise to cook because I do both well.
Yes, I do too. When I was in Tennessee, we went to the Jack Daniel's distillery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got the best.
Which is funny because Litchfield is actually dry.
I know. You cannot open a bottle of Jack Daniel's in Lynchburg, Tennessee, but you can take it and buy it there and take it away and drink it at your leisure. So what we did is we took it all back to Susan's house and S.Y. Thompson's house, and we tried the honey and honey Jack Daniels.
Some new ones, yeah.
Cinnamon Jack Daniels, and the Select Choice Jack Daniels.
Select
Anyway,
Choice is new, and Gentleman Jack I recommend.
yes, that's a good one. So Chris decided that the cinnamon was a little hot for him, but he drank a little bit of it. So anyway, he poured a little bit of the honey in it with the honey and the cinnamon. And he said it was amazing. Susan said it was amazing. I said it was amazing. So he mixed his booze and got a whole new flavor.
Well, you could do that, you know. It's if you take well, you used to, now they just make it you take Crown Royal,
Uh-huh.
take apple puckers and cranberry juice, you have a Washington apple.
Yum.
And now they just bottle it to taste like Crown Royal apple. And they just
Oh.
make it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Pick it out
Now,
the menu.
I had a, you can buy Crown Royal online, like
Probably.
from some stores.
I live in Las Vegas. You can buy anything that you want and have it delivered to your house.
That's true. Chris is laughing at you.
Well, it kind of surprised me because I grew up in the Boston area, which
Uh-huh.
for a long time you couldn't buy anything on Sunday, which has
Right.
changed, right? Now
Thank
you can
goodness.
buy, but now, like right before the pandemic, they had the line for the pot shops here around the corner, and then the line at the grocery store was crazy because everyone had the munchies. Uh,
Of course.
and you can get pot delivered during the pandemic, but you can buy anything. But coming out here, you can walk into CVS
Mm-hmm.
or you play the
Walgreens.
slots. Yeah,
Yeah.
Walgreens, you play the slots. You get off the plane, you play the slots.
Yep.
And you go into the gas station, play the slots. You could get alcohol, hard alcohol, not just like a beer
Mm-hmm.
or wine.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go over the border to Utah. Now I enjoy a glass of wine,
Mm-hmm.
three, and I went into the local grocery store and I'm looking for the wine and there was beer and there was beer. They're like, oh no, you have to go to the liquor store for the wine. You can only buy beer in Utah at the grocery store.
I wouldn't last long there.
No, well, they also think that they were somehow involved with the Civil War and they still want Dixie a part of everything. It's like,
I
okay,
Yes, I
think
don't know anything
about
about.
historically what that means. I'm
Yeah,
guessing you guys didn't celebrate Juneteenth the other day. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing.
yeah. I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right on that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My new book, a character says, why don't we do some skiing over in St. George? And they're like, well, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Really white, you know?
There are so many places in America that is still
Very white.
yeah. It's amazing to me because I mean, here we have more Native Americans than
Hmm.
other people of color. We don't have many Asians here. We don't have many African Americans. We have a lot of Native Americans. I know in where you are, in
We have
Nevada,
everything. It's
you
Las
have
Vegas.
everything. Yeah, yeah. Because I've been there many times.
Nobody's from Las Vegas.
No, no, they're not. Everybody just comes there because they love it. Um, anyway, yeah, so it's really interesting to see how many pockets there still are. And that scares me a little bit because those pockets generally, in general, they subjugate women and they, are the preppers and the people. I don't know. They just scare me a little.
Well, your new book sounds fascinating. And speaking of pockets, this takes place in Virginia in case
Mhm.
our previous one was not
I know.
recorded.
Yes, I take my characters from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which the first half of the book is. The second half of the book is set in very rural Virginia, which is comedic unto itself because of
Right.
the small town life. So that's what I did, and I've lived in both places, and so I felt like I wrote what I knew, and it was kind of a lot of fun. It was like old home week. It's visiting these things that I don't go to Virginia that often anymore because it's 3,500 miles away. But I went not this past May, but the previous May, and spent a week there and
Nice.
got my fill of colloquialism. And then I came
And
back to
what was it?
Albuquerque.
Boiled peanuts.
That's a little more south than Virginia.
Okay, good.
Well, actually, southeastern Virginia, which is kind of where my characters were, they'd still boil peanuts, I think.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Mm.
We grew peanuts at the farm where I lived. They were
Oh,
good.
wow.
Hmm.
Okay, so Pony Dakota, and hopefully we will have a video for you folks. If not, I'm going to be calling that Natty on the phone again, saying, "What are you doing tomorrow?"
I'm here. Like all I do is write. That's
Okay,
write and
so
clean house. Those are my two
links
main
links
chores.
for Natty and her books and this book in particular are coming out soon, but you can pre-order in the
Yes.
description below. Thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me and putting up with all the shenanigans today.
It was great fun.
It
It's
was
always
fun.
fun talking to you.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thank you
Yeah.
again, and thanks to everyone. Click like, subscribe, and support your LGBT rainbow authors. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.